So I want to show you how quick and easy it is to be able to get rates for your term life insurance to be able to protect you and your family. So today I'm going to hop onto the computer screen so we can show you in real time how much information they need from you and what your rates can potentially be. Now, I'll have a link to Ladder down in the show notes down below. That's the company we're going to be going onto the website for here today. It does help support out the channel, but you get more free content just like this, so that way you can keep learning and growing with your money. So we're here on the computer. This is ladderlife.com. And what we're going to do is get some ideas. So you can see here it says get my price. So we're going to go ahead and click on here. And we're going to plug in some information. Now, of course, some of this I'm going to plug in and we're going to jump to the next screen as some of it's going to be private information. Now, on this first page here, you're going to see the thing it's going to ask you is a first, middle, and last name. So go ahead and fill this out. We're going to click on the arrow right over here to go to the next page. So the next question it's going to ask you is an email. Keep in mind that they are going to send you some information to this email. So make sure it's one that you can access quickly and easily so you can get the right information when they do send stuff to you. So the next question is going to ask for your gender. So then we're going to click on that. And next it's going to ask for your height and your weight. So go ahead and fill out this information and move on to the next step. So here it is going to ask you a question about using tobacco or nicotine products. So you can answer the question based off of what fits best for you and the last time you used it. So next up here, it is going to ask for your birthday. Make sure you put in the correct birthday so that way you have all the proper information. So once you do get approved, everything runs smoothly. So the next question is going to ask you some health questions. So make sure you answer these properly, as it is really important to make sure that all the information they have about you is correct. Now, after that question, it is going to ask for your annual household income. So this includes you, a spouse, a partner, or anybody else living together in the household. Next up, it's going to ask how many children you have. So go ahead and answer that, and we're going to move on. Now, the next question here is going to ask how much is left on your mortgage. Now, they only have exact numbers like 100,000, 200,000. So whatever is the closest to that number that you have, go ahead and put that in and then move on to the next step. So here on the next page, it is going to show you your estimated price on coverage and the amount of years you want to be covered for. So it currently has this for 1 million, but you can go ahead and adjust this down if you needed to, or go up if you needed to as well. You can change the years of coverage, so you can go anywhere from 10 years all the way up to 30 years, keeping in mind that the longer you have it, the easier it is to be covered in your older age. But you can choose whatever works best for you and then move on to the next step. Now, this next question, it is going to ask you if you are planning on doing any of the following activities over the next 2 years. So just make sure you click on any of those that do pertain to you, or you can click on none of these if none of them pertain. So this next question is going to ask if you plan on doing any of these things over the next 2 years, whether it's travel or live outside the US or flying as well. So if none of those apply, again, you can click on that. So the next question here is going to ask if you use this substance, and if you haven't before, you can say never have, or you can answer any of the questions as you see here. Now, the next question here is going to ask you about controlled substances. So if you have used any of those right over here in the last 10 years, you can answer yes or no. And similar with the last question, if you do end up answering yes, there are going to be follow-up questions that go along with it. So again, we're going to be asking more questions. You can go yes or no based off of your experience. Next question is going to be pertaining to driving violations. And then the next question is going to be asking if there has been a change in weight over the last year by 10 pounds or more. Now, this next question is asking if you have been diagnosed, so just go through that list and see if any of these are on that list. And if none of them are, you can click on none of the above. Keeping in mind that these are very important questions to be asking because this is term life insurance. So, of course, they are getting into a little bit of the nitty-gritty stuff when it comes to health and everything else that pertains to you. So this next question here is asking if you've consulted a physician for something that has not been disclosed. And again, another question asking about any recommendations over the last 5 years. And then again, it's asking for more information on things that might not have been disclosed if it wasn't exactly what they were asking that you have. So if you click yes, it's going to ask you for more details. Now, this is asking if you had any organ, bone marrow, or tissue transplants. And then here it's asking if you've been diagnosed or treated by a physician for AIDS, ARC, or HIV. So after all those health questions, now we're going to get back to a little bit more of the regular stuff where you're going to go ahead and plug in your current address. And then down here, you're going to see where you can read and agree to some of their terms. So make sure you go and do that. You can check off the box and then move on to the next step. So here it is going to ask for your phone number. They do mention that it is going to be private and only to contact you if needed. So here it's going to ask if you are a US citizen or a lawful permanent resident for at least 2 or more years. So you can click on yes if you are. And then here it's going to ask where you were born. So it's going to ask you which state in particular. So here it's going to ask if you are employed. If you click yes, it's going to ask for more details. If you click no, it's going to move on to the next step. So here it says, what is your occupation? So once you start typing something in, it'll actually pre-populate with some suggestions. For us, we just put in video production, and we'll move on to the next step. So this step right over here, it is asking for your annual income. This is a little different from the household income. So whatever your particular income is, go ahead and fill this part out. So this question is going to ask if you have life insurance through an employer. So we're going to fill this out and go to the next page. So here it's going to ask if you actually have applied for life insurance or reinstated or renewed in the last 5 years. And then it's going to ask you right over here on this page if you want to add a backup address. You don't have to, but they can offer that for you if you wanted to. Here it's going to ask if you have a valid driver's license. And if you clicked on yes for the driver's license, it's going to ask you if your driver's license has been suspended or revoked in the last 10 years. Next question is going to ask if you've been convicted of driving under the influence or reckless driving in the last 10 years. So the next question is asking if you have a regular physician. So the next question over here, it's going to ask for the last 4 of your social security number. Now, if you wanted to, you can click on why they do collect it, but this helps get the most proper information to verify you are who you say you are, so they can give you the best rate possible. So if you feel comfortable with that, go ahead and plug in the last 4, and you can click on the arrow to move on to the next page. So once you plugged in the last 4 of your social security number, it'll take you to a page that looks just like this, where you can go ahead and scroll through and review all your information, make sure everything looks correct. Now, if it does, you could read the fine print, and then from there you can click on submit. And you can see right over here, it says you'll see your offer and can decide whether to accept it. So you don't actually have to if you don't want to, but you can be good to go if you did, and that way you can protect your family for the future. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I will have a link to Ladder in the show notes down below for you, so you can go ahead and get started. That does help support out the channel, so you get more free content just like this. And if you want to learn about this company a little bit more, as well as some of the other top term life insurance companies, check out my video right over here to keep on learning. My name is Dennis, and I'll see you in that next video.